Welcome to Sausage on a Fork, a podcast dedicated to the UK's longest running children's drama programme, Grange Hill. My name's Neil, and in each episode I'll interview a former cast member about their life before, during and after their time on the programme. Okay, welcome to the latest episode of Sausage on a Fork. I am absolutely delighted to say that I have been joined for this episode by none other than Flip Webster, who played Mrs Marjorie Mason. Flip, welcome to Sausage on a Fork.
Oh, thank you. It's brilliant to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Well, what we'll do, Flip, is we'll start this episode the way we start every episode. And if you could tell us how you first got into acting.
Oh, okay. So I was probably acting like when I was a kid. I remember, if anybody could remember Hilda Baker,
Oh, no.
apparently I was doing Hilda Baker impersonations when I was 3. She used to say, "She knows, you know." And you sat there sitting all on your own with nobody with you and all by yourself. I don't know if you remember Hilda Baker, but she was quite a big star when I was a kid. I'm very old now. I'm in my 8th decade, actually.
Right, okay.
And I had an aunt she was mostly an extra on films and things like that. And she seemed to have this very glamorous life in London, and I was brought up by the seaside. And so I always had this idea about being an actress. And then I asked my parents whether, because it was in the day of grants, your parents had to support you if you went, and they weren't keen on the idea of me going to drama school. But so I took a year out after school, and then a friend of mine's brother said, "Look, if you apply to drama school and get in, then your parents will be proud." And I thought, oh, I never thought that. So I just applied to the only drama school I wanted to go to, which was Central,
Right.
now called the Royal Central. And, similar thing to now, like 3,000 applications and only 30 places. And unbelievably, I got in. I was on a general drama course. I didn't go straight for the stage
Right.
course because I don't think my parents wanted me coming out without any qualifications. So I did come out with a teaching qualification. And yeah, so that was it. So I spent 3 years at drama school. Most of what we did was just what the stage course were doing, but we didn't put on whacking great plays and
Right.
things so much like they did. And and then I came out of there, and I don't know. I went off to Tunisia to be a governess on a film set, through one of my tutors at drama school, who was my phonetics tutor, Joan Washington, who was a friend. And then I applied for my first job, which was with a community theatre company in Exeter, and that's what I did. I did community theatre, TIE, and then thought I've got to go to London permanently and find myself an agent. And so that's sort of what I managed to do in the end.
Yeah, right. Okay. So in those early days, or maybe even at drama school, were you there with anyone who, we might know, anyone else who went on to acting?
Oh yeah, there were lots of people. Let me think. Lindsay Duncan, who's a very well-known stage actress, and a film and TV actress. Um, in fact, the first ever comic relief thing that they did on the TV, I did a sketch with her, a
Wow.
comic sketch with her, which was quite funny. Um, oh God, you really put me on the spot. There are loads of people who've gone on to have very successful careers who went through Central. But at the moment, I can't think of who they are. I will. I'll come back to that.
Okay, no problem. No problem. So you said you went to and you got yourself an agent, but presumably you were still doing sort of theatre work and stuff before telly
Yeah,
came
I
along.
yeah I was. I went off to work at Solent People's Theatre, which was then run by Jude Kelly, who you might know. She ran the South Banks. Well,
All right.
she ran Leeds Playhouse for a while, and then she went to Battersea Arts Centre, and so I went there and did a couple of plays with her, which we took up to Edinburgh. I did, quite a bit of like little fringe theatre.
Yeah.
And then at some point I got into, it's funny that when you get to my age, you think you know everything in the order in which everything happened.
Right.
And then you think, no, actually, was that 10 years ago or was that 20 years ago? A little bit confusing. But I ended up doing a lot of improvisation.
All
So,
right.
in fact, I met Lee Corns
Yeah,
round about
brilliant.
sort of
Legends.
that time when I was doing that, and Adam Ray,
All
who
right.
who
Wow.
became who was a good friend of mine. So yeah, I've skipped ahead there, haven't I? Uh, so I did all the French things, and then I think what happened was, I you can kind of feel quite sort of underconfident. Luckily, my best friend at drama school had been Michelle Gish, who went on to become a very successful casting director. And although she sort of more or less ignored most of her friends after she became a casting director, because I think she didn't want to think there was any nepotism
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
She did introduce me to another casting director who did a lot of commercials.
All right.
And that seemed to be my in then. Once
Yeah.
I got into that, I played lots of sort of comedy housewives and stuff like that. And then that kind of, helped me get another agent and whatever, because it pays quite well and that means they get commission and
Yeah.
whatever. Um, so that kind of happened. And then, yeah, where are we?
Right. Okay. So I've got a thing here. One of the first things you were in was, I think it was a film called Remembrance.
Yes,
And
Gary Oldman's first film.
wow, I mean that must like Gary Oldman, John Altman there as well, Jesse Bird. So
Yeah, I'm still in touch with John Altman.
what really? Wow, that's
He
amazing.
lives not far from me.
All right, okay. And your character in that was barmaid at disco.
Yes.
We've all got to start somewhere, haven't we? You know what I mean? So
Yeah, you'll find if you look through my CV, there's a lot of landladies, cleaners, barmaids, that kind of level of stuff. Yes.
brilliant, brilliant. And then, so obviously, if we were to go through absolutely everything, we'd be here for about 4 years. I'll be honest. So just picking a few bits out. Obviously, there was the sitcom Room at the Bottom,
Yes.
with James Bolam and Keith Barron, Richard Wilson, and Roger Lloyd Pack. But like when you're filming a comedy anyway, I imagine there's a certain amount of corpse and happens a lot. But when you're with people who are that funny as well, I mean, it must be like sometimes you must think we're never going to get through this. We're never going to get these scenes done.
Well, yeah, some of them are like that, but actually they were all serious actors as well. So,
Yeah,
every Deborah Grant, um, everybody's quite serious about getting it right.
yeah,
So, yeah, you do have. I mean, Keith Barron actually was a really funny man,
yeah.
and he kept saying, "Oh, when I'm in this doing this bit, I want to do this with my pen or something." And I go, "You should do that. You should do that. It's really funny." But sometimes he wouldn't because, he probably felt perhaps that, he might be deflecting from one of the
All
other
right.
actors or
Yeah.
something. He was a very funny man. Well, they were all funny. And Richard, I went on, as you probably see from my CV, I went on to do a play with Richard Wilson after that, and I'm still in touch with Richard Wilson as well.
Brilliant.
But yes, but when you're, like I felt very much, I had to play with this character because
Yeah.
she was a tea lady, and I had to try and make her funny, and it was a job I got because I think the person who was supposed to be doing it couldn't do it or was ill or something, and I
Right.
was brought in, which was marvelous for me. But you are kind of worried that you won't keep up with the sort of the big stars.
Yeah. I mean, because I was looking there, and it was a lot of comedy. You
Yeah,
know, the stuff with Hale and Pace and Smith and Joe, Stephanie Cole and Maureen Lipman in About Face as well.
yeah,
Like,
that was a lovely job.
yeah, and the Upper Hand as well. Now, when you were in the Upper Hand, I've got to ask because obviously we know, Joe McGann and Honor Blackman and all that, but Kevin Keegan was in the episode of the Upper Hand that you were in.
I know. I knew. Honestly, I'm not a football fan, but I knew when I was working and chatting with Kevin Keegan, I knew this was a big
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
that
it's a
must.
big deal.
I when I was reading that, like looking through that cast list, I had to look about 4 times to make sure it actually said Kevin Keegan. Because I was just, I mean, what, did you actually work with him, or were you just sort of like,
I
just that?
think, I mean, I had a tiny little part to do in that. I think we were passing through a reception area or something.
Right.
You know, it's a long time ago, so I
Yeah,
don't remember what we did, but he was a very friendly man and enjoyed being there. You know,
brilliant, brilliant. Yeah.
he was happy to be a part of it.
And then the House of Elliot. You were in 2 episodes. Now the only thing about the House of Elliot for me was period drama on a Sunday night. It just meant school in the morning. Like that's
Oh, yeah.
whenever I think of the
Yeah.
House of Elliot, it's I've got to get ready for school. Got to do my homework at 9 o'clock on a Sunday.
Yeah, that Sunday night feeling's horrible. I still remember it. Well, funnily enough, the other week I actually said to my husband, "I've got that Sunday school next day feeling because I had some jobs to do on the Monday I didn't want to do." So, so it's not exclusive to school.
But I mean, but like the House of Elliot was a big deal at the time, wasn't it? It was a massive thing, like to be in as well. And I just think when you're getting stuff like that, it must be, really rewarding and fulfilling. Like,
Oh, it is great, but then you do these things and you think, "Oh, I'm going to get bigger parts
right, I
until
get you.
I'm more established." But for some of us, I'm afraid that just doesn't happen. We just remain jobbing actors, really, and
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my break.
Well, I mean, in my eyes, you got your break.
Oh,
1991, when
yeah.
you were obviously filming Grange Hill. So, how did Grange Hill come about for you then?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. Obviously, I would have got it through a casting director, I think, and I can't remember which one.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it would have come through my agent, a casting director, and I would have gone along for an interview up at L Street,
Mhm.
up at Boreham Wood,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then I got offered the part. And what was strange about it was I think I was in for 2 episodes,
Right.
and then one morning at home, the post arrived, and there was another couple of scripts on the floor, and I was like, well, I didn't know that my contract was,
Yeah.
and then this would happen for a
Yeah.
couple of years. Every now and then, a script would come in, and then I'd just get contacted by the production company about when I should be there and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it was a wonderful surprise. And
Brilliant.
also what I loved about it was I had two young children of my own then, and I was really enjoying the fact that the age range that I was working with. So I was working with like Anna Quayle,
Yeah.
you
Absolute
know,
legend. Like, yeah.
that was wonderful. So there were adults there that you could get on with, and then there were kids of all different ages, and but all older than my children, and I just really enjoyed that. You
Yeah.
know, it was great fun, and I'd kind of forgotten. I had to go back into IMDb myself and have a look
Yeah.
at how many episodes I'd done and what happened in them and who was in them. And
Yeah.
then I'm looking at all the pictures of all the kids and going, yeah, of course,
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't remember like most of their names, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was a great thing actually to be taken down memory lane
Yeah.
and
Brilliant.
reminded about all
But
that.
when you got the part of Grey Jill, were you aware of how big it was, like how well known it was?
Yeah, I think I was. I
Right.
mean, even though I wasn't at the age where I was watching Grange
Yeah.
Hill. When did it start? 80,
78 it started.
78.
Yeah.
Okay. So in 78, I'd have been, an adult, but we were very aware, I think, in those days, especially with not so many
Yeah.
channels, about kids' TV, big series. You were aware of that.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it felt like quite a big deal to be going into
Yeah.
Grange Hill, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
even for me. I mean, I knew that the focus was on the kids
Yeah.
and then secondly the teachers and those of us who were the school secretaries, the cleaners
Yeah.
were slightly down the
Yeah.
thing. But I mean, you never felt that when you were
Right.
working.
No. Yeah. Of course.
I think the directors and the producers, enjoyed the fact that they had adults that they could work
Yeah.
with as well.
Yeah.
you know.
Brilliant. Okay, so as you said there, you were the school secretary, started in Series 15, went on the air in 92, Mrs. Mason. Now, I was thinking about this. The school secretary, nobody else in a school of like, there must have been 600 kids easily in a high school. Like the only one member of admin staff in to cover the whole school. Like when I was at secondary school, I started secondary school in '86, and we already had three working in our school office. So she had a lot to contend with, Mrs. Mason. There, like I'll just say that,
You must have done it. I don't know how big Grange Hill was supposed to be. How big was it supposed
But
to
I
be?
mean, if you're looking at six classes in a year group, and you're looking at what five, 20, 25 to
Well,
30. So there's 300 in a year. So you're looking at least what
yeah.
you're looking at a few, aren't you? You're looking at possibly over 1,000 kids. I don't know, but that
Yeah.
me maths mightn't be the best there, but you
I
know,
went to a school of 600 children and we only had one school secretary.
yeah.
But I mean, I no idea and I didn't care
Yeah. I
how
mean,
they run it.
I'm in a primary school now, and we've got three members of the admin team, and we're 400 kids. So
I,
my maths was way off a minute ago when I said over 1,000. I know it was. I haven't worked out.
no, I think it would be. Yeah,
so
yeah.
so in the first scene, we see Mrs. Mason there, and she was giving Mr. Robson, the acting deputy head at the time, a list of things that he needed to do, including, paying a bill for new chairs, even though she thought it was a scandal paying that much money for chairs. What was wrong with the what was wrong with the chairs we've already got? And
That's
while,
establishing her character, I
yeah,
guess.
while all this is going on, Mr. Robson's clearly trying to do some work, and the phone's ringing, and Mr. Robson had to ask Mrs. Mason if she was going to answer the phone.
I don't remember any of this.
But when she did answer the phone, she changed her voice and put on her best telephone voice, which all the best of us do, don't we?
Yeah.
And Mrs. Monroe, who you've mentioned there, Anna Quayle, just an absolute, like I've said a few times, you could tell how good Grange Hill was, and this is no disrespect to yourself or anyone else. You could tell how good it was by the fact that they got people like Anna Quayle in, Michael Sheard previously, Gwyneth Powell. The fact that those people were turning up in Grange Hill shows you, the caliber of how good a program it was. But I love there's a scene where, I say, Mrs. Monroe comes in to talk to Mr. Robson, who was clearly in a rush, and Mrs. Mason told Mrs. Monroe that he had no time to waste. That to which Mrs. Monroe said, "Well, I don't consider myself to be a waste of time." And then when Mr. Robson leaves the room, Mrs. Mason asked Mrs. Monroe if she could help her. To which Mrs. Monroe said, "Yes, you can get out of my way." But like I say, Anna Quayle was just, I mean, she must have been great to work with.
Oh, she was lovely. I mean, she was a consummate professional,
Yeah.
wasn't she? She'd done everything and, been everywhere. And, uh, yeah, I mean, I think when you first meet these people, you're a little bit sort of intimidated.
Uh-huh.
But, I was going to shy away from my rather nasty character.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Mrs. Mason was that obviously you were in there for like comic relief. There had to be that element of comic relief,
Yeah,
because there's a cracking scene with Mr. Hargreaves, played by Kevin O'Shea, who
yeah,
was the acting head at this point, and he was also there for I've said it loads of times on here. He was like, do you remember the British Empire? That's what he always, what's his name? Chris Barry played
yeah,
British. He was that type of character, really pompous, really thought he was probably bigger and better than he actually was. But
yeah.
there's a cracking scene where he's talking to Mrs. Mason, and he was saying about how the staff at St. Joseph's seemed to think that their school was superior to Grange Hill. And Mrs. Mason then told him, well, they're not superior in the quality of management that they have at the very top. Just having a little bit of a flirt with Mr. Hargreaves, even though she was a Mrs. Mason. Let's just point that out. And she does
Yes, yes.
she mentions her husband a couple of times, but still having a little bit of a flirt. And then he actually asks how Mr. Robson had been getting on. And Mrs. Mason said, well, let's just say it's nice to have you back.
Mm.
I was thinking, is she having a bit of a flirt, just for the way she is? But then she moaned about her back pain and said it was probably down to the chair she had. So Mr. Hargreaves was saying, oh, we're going to have to buy you a new chair, which is quite ironic considering the way she'd been moaning about them having to buy new chairs.
That's the person she was.
In the previous year.
I don't know who first wrote for my character, but I know that Sarah Daniels wrote quite a lot of the episodes that I was in. And when I met her, she just said, I love writing for you. I love writing for Mrs. Mason. But, she was getting a little bit out of her. She's getting a little above her station.
Yeah, I love the character just because of how snobbish she is without really having any right to be a snob either. That was, when you think about it.
She was a terrible snob, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And pretty uneducated for someone who was working in a school.
The majority of your scenes were in the offices because of the character you were playing. And Mr. Robson's having trouble with his computer to the point where he does something that we've all done. He hits it. He hits it with a book. And she says, I don't think you want to do that. And he said, I'd tell you what I want to do, but I don't think I should. So obviously, he's obviously thinking about what he would like to say to Mrs. Mason or even do to Mrs. Mason. And, as I say, it was hard to tell whether it was directed to the computer or to Mrs. Mason.
Yes. That was his good acting, Stuart.
Yeah. And another legend as well, Stuart Organ. He's he holds the record for the most number of episodes in Grange Hill, way over 200 episodes. Yeah. And then there was a new head teacher came in, Mrs. Keel.
Jenny Howe. And I'm still in touch with Jenny Howe.
Wow. Brilliant. The new head teacher had started and had given Mrs. Mason a list of jobs. I don't think it would have been as easy for Mrs. Mason to flirt with Mrs. Keel as much, sort of get her way. It was
like that.
Yeah, definitely harder to wrap Mrs. Keel around her finger, I think. And she's given her this list of jobs, and whenever Mrs. Mason's trying to talk to her, Mrs. Keel just shut her down every single time and told her that the jobs needed doing straight away. Like I say, very different to Mr. Hargreaves. There was no wrapping Mrs. Keel around her finger.
No.
We talked, as you said there, the type of character she was. There's a scene where Mrs. Mason is sat at her desk reading a book, reading a novel.
I do remember that.
The office door opens and she sort of jumps up and starts looking like she's being busy. But it turns out it was the first year kids, the year sevens, were on a walk around the school dressed as a Chinese dragon for part of Writers' Week. Now, I did a bit of research and found out that the book that you had in your hands was called Castaway by Lucy Irvine. Would that have been your choice then?
I think it might have been my book.
Right.
Because I have read that book.
Brilliant. Because I looked at the front, I thought Castaway, because I was looking, I zoomed in and everything. Castaway.
Is it Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
Is it Tom Hanks? No.
Yeah. But it's a very different thing, isn't it? The story. It's about her own life, isn't it? About how her going away with some stranger on a desert island.
On an island. And they made a film of it with Oliver Reed, I think.
Yeah, brilliant. One of my favourites ever Mrs. Mason moments, right? The year sevens were finding out where the school was wasting energy and how they could save energy and how they could possibly save money in the long run. And some of the girls went to speak to Mrs. Mason about it, but she didn't see what it had to do with her. And when they told her they had permission from Mrs. Keel to speak to her, she said, okay, well, you'll have to wait over there and I'll get back to you. Can you remember what Mrs. Mason did at that point? She didn't read her book, but she did something else that she probably shouldn't have been doing on school. She did. She did. So she starts making personal phone calls and he was having a proper good gossip with her mate, but then was interrupted by the public school boys. 3 public school boys turned up.
Yeah.
Mark Warren.
Yeah.
Mark Warren was one of them.
Mark Warren, Nick Fletcher.
That's it.
And Robert Hands.
Yeah.
And it's funny because yeah, so I worked with Mark on Grange Hill.
Yeah.
Then I've done three other things that Mark has been in, but we've always missed each other.
All right.
But like we've left each other a note or something, you know, left it with the makeup person. Could you please pass this on?
Brilliant.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
And Nick Fletcher is he's I think he's a vice president of equity.
Right. Wow.
And I met him subsequently at, at meetings and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So yeah, so these lads come in, and when they leave, Mrs. Mason straight back on the phone again to her mates, and
They were
the
lovely girls, those as well.
yeah, the girls eventually told her that they were going, they had everything they needed from her, and I love, I love this bit. This is the bit I love because it doesn't date it, but it tells you what it's very of the time because the girls worked out that she'd spent 31 minutes making personal phone calls. And this is the bit that, does age it because it was before 1 o'clock, right? So they were talking
Oh,
about,
cheap.
yeah.
Yes.
And that's the thing, like, I don't even know if that exists anymore. It probably doesn't because everyone's on their
No,
mobile
not
now.
sure.
But that's the thing that when you think, yeah, because that was one of the things. Mum, can I make a phone call? Not yet, you can't.
Yeah.
You've got
After
to wait
6 o'clock.
after 6 o'clock, yeah. And we then see her on the phone again. And Mrs. Keel told her that when she'd finished, she needed a word with her about personal phone calls. So Mrs. Mason just hung up the phone. Now, we never actually saw the conversation between Mrs. Mason and Mrs. Keel, but we're led to believe that she probably got a bit of a telling off for making those phone calls.
She was very intimidating, that Mrs. Keel.
She was. And then that moved us on to the series 16. First bit in that was Mrs. Mason couldn't find Mrs. Keel's kettle. She was obviously trying to get back on Mrs. Keel's good side at this point. So Mrs. Munro told her to check the staff room. So Mrs. Mason marched into the staff room, grabbed the kettle, and said it was no wonder that children were always thieving if this was the example that they're getting set if the teachers are stealing kettles from Mrs. Keel.
Oh, yeah. I do remember
Um,
that.
and like I say, I just love the fact that she was this snob without any real reason to be one. Like,
They
and
usually are, though, aren't they?
yeah, yeah. There's another scene where a film crew had turned up to film an advert, but Mrs. Munro had cancelled them turning up.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Justine, played by Rachel, and Ray, played by Kelly George,
Yeah.
had got back on the phone and pretended to be Mrs. Munro and got the crew to turn up. But when Mrs. Munro reiterated that it had been cancelled, Mrs. Mason said to her, "Are you sure you cancelled it? You haven't been to the dentist again, have you?" Because I don't know if you remember, there'd been a scene where she'd been to the dentist and been under anaesthetic and whatever, and had completely lost track of days, Mrs. Munro, of what day it was. So, she's there giving it large to Mrs. Munro again. Like, you haven't been to the dentist again, have you?
There's
And
the comedy.
yeah, and there's a bit where this is where, everyone talks about how sort of, groundbreaking and ahead of its time Grange Hill was because they had a storyline with a traveller community.
Mary, I
Mary,
really,
yeah.
I really remember that storyline. Yeah.
And they were staying local, the community was staying local to the school. Mary was a pupil at the school. And when there was talk of them getting moved on, and Mrs. Keel was on the side of them not getting moved on, was on the side of them staying. And she decided to write a letter to the local councillor,
Oh, yeah, that's
who
right.
Mrs. Keel had been at school with, Miss Jones, I think it was. And Mrs. Mason said to her, "Imagine the outcry if they are allowed to stay." And when Mrs. Keel pointed out that the outcry would only be from a small section of the community, Mrs. Mason said, "Well, those people can vote in local elections." Um,
Oh, threat.
and then asked if the travellers could vote, and said Mrs. Keel would in effect be asking the councillor to lose votes in the election. So I think we know what side Mrs. Mason's bread was buttered on. I think we know what Mrs. Mason wanted. to happen to the travellers there. I think she was
She didn't
all,
like anything that
yeah,
didn't quite, oh, no,
yeah, she was all
nice.
all for them being moved on.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Mason's nephew
Oh,
eventually turned up,
Lee,
um, Lee Whitlock. Yeah.
Lee, Lock, bless him. Oh yeah,
Sadly,
what was his character? Yes,
sadly
only
not.
last year.
Like a few we've talked about. So his character was called
Bevis.
Bevis.
That's
Bevis
right.
Loveday. Now, the first scene that Bevis is in, he's
My
talking.
nephew, wasn't
Yeah,
he? My
yeah,
nephew.
he was Mrs. Mason's nephew, and the first scene he's in, he's Mrs. Mason's talking to him about the break-in at the school
Oh yeah.
and how the police had taught her for so long. Anyone would think she had something to do with it. And while she's talking and saying all this, Bevis had picked up Mrs. Mason's keys and was putting a key back on the key ring. we, see, we
Aha.
see that happen. And when she asked him about the keys, he went, "Oh, yeah, one of your keys was coming loose. I was putting it back on for you." But he'd actually had it and was putting it back on.
He was
Um,
always up to no good, and she was like, "Oh, my
yeah,
nephew, my
you know,
lovely
couldn't
nephew."
do it, couldn't do anything wrong, could he? Um,
No,
and Mrs. Mason had actually taken Bevis to the school to try and get him, try and get the girls who were running the tuck shop to buy sweets
yeah,
from him. But the girls weren't sure because they were worried that the sweets might be off. And Mrs. Mason had said there's nobody in her family had ever been involved in anything a bit off. If only she knew. If only she
yes,
knew. Um,
yes.
and
She
the
was blind to it
yeah,
all.
wasn't she just? The girls eventually bought some from Bevis and asked Mrs. Mason if she could get more, if Bevis could provide more, because they were doing really well selling them.
Chocolate hearts, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's chocolate hearts, yeah. But what they actually asked for, they actually asked Mrs. Mason for Bevis's phone number, to which her reply was, "No, he's far too old for you." And there was a character in Grange Hill, Mr. Parrot, played by Peter Leaper. Now,
Yeah,
earlier on, we talked about how Mrs. Mason would chat away to Mr. Hargreaves, and there was always that little bit of a flirt. But obviously, Mr. Hargreaves wasn't in it as much. I think he might have even left at this point. So Mr. Parrot was sort of filling that role. And she said that she thought Mary, we've mentioned Mary, the traveller, was responsible for the break-in. Certainly if she wasn't, the people she was with would have been, because nothing had happened before she turned up.
yeah.
But, I think we all know at this point, the audience knew, what was going on here. And Bevis again was there. He gave Mrs. Mason a lift to the school. And he starts, like, whenever he was there, he was always talking about the break-ins, or, if the stolen video equipment had turned up, and she still didn't click on to what he was talking about.
She thought he was a sensible
Yeah,
citizen.
he's there asking if the video equipment's been replaced yet. But Mrs. Mason said that, it hadn't, and they shouldn't, whilst there were so many unruly elements in the school.
We know what she meant. Mm.
And Bevis also asked Mrs. Mason if she'd like to go to Kenny's wedding with him.
Yeah,
Kenny, played by Denzel Kilvington.
yeah.
Another one, sadly no longer with us.
I only knew about that today. I
Oh,
only
okay.
found that out today. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah,
Yes, the wedding. Those three together, uh, Denzel and Joe and Kelly,
yeah.
they were when they were always laughing and joking. They were having a wonderful time doing their scenes. They absolutely loved it. Yeah, it
But,
was great. And the
but
whole wedding thing was just bizarre, wasn't it? But
yeah,
what
I
a
mean,
wonderful end to the
yeah, I,
series.
I like those episodes because it's the whole cast.
Yeah.
Everyone ended up there in their own different way. Everyone ended up there. But what I don't know if you know this, when Kelly was on the other week, Kelly George was saying that there was plans for a spin-off with Ray and Kenny. That was what they were
I
going to do.
listened to that and I
Yeah,
heard that, and it would have been great, but I was actually quite surprised because when we'll get to this probably, when I wasn't going to be coming back, I thought he had said that he wasn't coming back either, but he looked quite happy about it.
Yeah.
So I think that might have been because they'd had this conversation,
Yeah.
spin-off. And so
Yeah.
carry on, Neil, what you were saying about the
Yeah.
spin.
So the wedding was there. Bevis asked Mrs. Mason if she'd like to go, and she obviously accepted, but was less happy about it when she found out Kenny's brother Ray was in the sixth form at Grange Hill. Again, just showing it that side to her that she's got. And there was another big storyline towards the end of that series was you mentioned Adam Ray earlier on.
Yeah.
A big storyline about Mr. Brisley being gay. It's Mr. Parrott told Mrs. Mason about it. And to be fair, give Mrs. Mason a due. She didn't sort of react in any way that like maybe Mr. Parrott was expecting her to.
Yeah, because didn't they were kind of in cahoots a little bit, weren't they?
Yeah,
They were both a little bit inflexible,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
And she just said, I'm not surprised that he is because he was so clean was her reasoning. And she then told Mr. Parrott that she'd had a gay lodger earlier on, and she said he's the
Mm.
only man I've ever known who knew how to clean a bath out after himself. And like I say, she seemed to be one of the few people in the school who wasn't bothered by the fact that he was gay. Because, Mr. Parrott was like, yeah, but he's a teacher. And she just said, well, my lodger was a barrister. And that was it. That was like the whole thing. But the thing with that
It's
conversation,
quite strange, isn't it,
yeah,
really?
the thing with that conversation was it was overheard. So that's why it got round the school very quickly because it
Yeah.
had been overheard by parents and by a kid as well. But like you say, it is a bit strange that she wasn't bothered by it when she was bothered by so many other things going
Yeah,
on.
well, but you're making me think now. Maybe this barrister came to her as a lodger, and she didn't find out that he was gay until afterwards. And then, like often snobby people like her, they then get protective of
Yeah,
that person because they've let them into their house, so they've got to defend it.
yeah.
And then maybe she thinks she's the woman of the world
Well,
now.
maybe, yeah. But I mean, rightly so that she didn't seem bothered by it because like now, I don't think it'd be as big a storyline now. It wouldn't be a storyline at all. I don't think it would be mentioned earlier on, but then that'd be it. It would just be dealt with. But I just think it's if it's not what you said and she wasn't bothered by it, then it's great that she had that side to it. She just wasn't
Yeah,
bothered.
you're being very generous about her
Yeah,
there, Neil. I mean, when was the lesbian kiss on Brookside?
that was
Was it before or after this?
probably round about maybe just before thinking about it
Yeah.
and thinking about it. The only reason I'm saying it was just before because I mean, it would have been round that time. I remember my mum was going away and we were in Manchester Airport to see her off. She was going to Norway to stay with my cousin, right?
Wow.
And the girl that played Margaret was in Manchester Airport, and and that storyline was coming up. It was the storyline. It might not have been the lesbian kiss when she was with the vicar, the priest.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and I remember my mum going up to her and saying, I'm really sorry. I'm going to be out the country for the next 2 weeks. Can you tell me what happens in your story? And fair enough, she told her. Like, so,
Did
yeah,
she?
yeah, yeah.
That's brilliant. Could have been a reporter.
Yeah. But it was just so funny. I don't know if she said to her, are you leaving? She said, I'm going to be out the country for the next 2 weeks. Are you leaving? And she went, no, I'm not. I'm not. So it must have been around that time, 92, 93, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but
I was a
oh,
big Brookside fan.
yeah, I think everyone was, to be honest. Like, so, I say, there was that side to Mr. Mason, I think, but
Mm.
she was less sympathetic to Mary, as we talked. She was convinced
Yeah.
Mary was responsible for the thefts, and she would watch her around the school. And when Robin confronted her about it, Mary said, "Oh, leave it," because Mary was used to people treating like that. But you wouldn't expect a member of the school staff, regardless of their position, to be like that. It was just
Not at all.
their
Wouldn't happen
snobbishness.
now.
No, not at all. Snobbishness coming through again. And we've mentioned the wedding. We've said about, I loved those end of series episodes where everyone was there. And the wedding it went ahead, but Bevis didn't turn up till halfway through because he'd got the flowers.
Nicking flowers.
And at the wedding, Ruth threw the bouquet, and it was Mrs. Mason caught it. What will Mr. Mason think was a question. But as she caught it, can you remember what happened?
I got arrested.
The police turned up to arrest Bevis because they found all the stolen equipment in his van, and they knew that he'd stolen the flowers. And Mrs. Mason was also arrested for receiving stolen goods.
Yeah, I was holding them. But I was trying to object that my nephew had not done this. He hadn't,
Yeah. She wouldn't have it, but she couldn't see that her nephew could be like that at all.
My world was crumbling.
But this was just after she commented on seeing Mary outside the church.
She did, didn't she?
And hoping that the vicar had locked it up.
Yeah.
She finally got her comeuppance, and that was the last time we saw Mrs. Mason.
Yes.
Was it your decision to leave, or
no?
Right.
I think, well, we had a new producer came in, and
Right.
when new producers come in, they've always got to make their mark somehow, haven't they? I mean, I don't know how much of this was, discussed with how many other people, but obviously it's the producer that has to deliver the news,
Right.
good or bad. So I think it was we were all there for leaving party or something like that. And so Christine Seacombe was the incoming producer. She was Harry Seacombe's daughter.
Oh, right, okay.
And yes, and she said to me, "Oh, it's been really good fun, Flip, and having you here, great to have you around and everything. But we're going to call it a day." I can't remember how she put it, but it was like, "Oh, yeah, that's the end of it." I mean, I knew if I was going to be called into the producer's office, it's probably likely that Mrs. Mason had served her purpose, and really, I wasn't offered a spin-off series, which I think I should have been.
Would have been great, I think.
But she was sort of laughing and saying, "Well, you'll probably have your own sitcom soon." And I thought, well, that would be nice if you got something in mind for me. But nothing happened there. But yeah, there were. I think Anna went then as well, didn't she?
Around about then, maybe
Yeah,
a
I
little
mean,
bit
I think
later.
Anna was quite sad about, sad about that. I can't remember, but there were about 4 or 5 of us who were told that we wouldn't be coming back. So at least we knew, because as I say, I've been having those scripts sort of dropping through the door every now and then. So, at least I wasn't at home on tenterhooks,
Yeah.
wondering if I was gonna
Yeah.
get, called in again.
Yeah.
So, but it was a lovely thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, was there anyone you were particularly close to when you were on Grange Hill? Was anyone that you worked with, like?
Well, I already knew Adam Ray,
Right.
Mr. Brisley. Adam and I were already friends.
Right.
We did improvise a lot of impro together, so we knew each other well. Adam was also a graphic designer, so he was doing that job alongside
Ah,
Grange
right.
Hill.
Okay.
And
That's why
I
he
mean,
was the art teacher.
exactly the same as Lee, being a teacher,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
knew exactly how to be in the school. Um, and when I took a one-person show that I'd written up to Edinburgh in '92, I think it was, and Adam did all my poster design and my leaflets
Wow.
and stuff like that. So we were already friends,
Yeah.
before that, and I was really pleased when he came in. That was great. And I don't know if you know, but he did eventually move to Australia,
Oh,
and they paid him to come back and do Grange Hill.
no way.
They did. I
Wow.
mean, I don't know how often, but
Yeah.
I know it must have been at least twice, I would think.
Wow.
They got him
Brilliant.
back in.
Brilliant.
Because he was very popular. The producers
Yeah.
and that liked him, and he was a lovely,
Yeah.
lovely chap, Adam. And then he died in 2014. Sadly, he was ill, and I saw him not long before, because I got married to my longtime partner in 2014, and Adam came to our wedding, and he actually made me this. I don't know if you can see.
Wow. So
I'll
That
describe.
is,
You
so
describe it.
yeah, I'll describe it. So that is the old opening titles of Grange Hill, complete with sausage on a fork. But there is a different picture on there that.
That was an old publicity photo of mine. He couldn't find my Mrs Mason
Oh
photo,
wow!
so he
So
had to do that. But yeah, it's the
and it
old.
says flipping kids on it.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant.
So yeah, he did that for me.
Right.
Um, yeah, and then he went home, and then that was the end of it. But I've seen his wife
Yeah.
since, and his kids.
Yeah.
In fact, I even saw his wife in Australia in this about
Oh,
this
brilliant.
time, 23. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. So you've said there that you were told you were leaving. So that, I mean, were you disappointed to
Yeah, I
leave?
was a bit
Yeah.
because it was a nice, easy job.
Yeah.
It wasn't that I had a whole load of lines to learn and there wasn't any angst or anything with it. I was just a sort of conduit for other storylines
Yeah.
and so on, really, with a little bit of, character drawn in there for
Yeah.
us to have a bit of
Like,
fun
like,
with.
like I say, you were the character was a comedy character. What
Yes,
wasn't she?
she was.
Definitely, definitely. And like we said, you've done a lot of comedy, and you did more afterwards as well. Now, I noticed there was a thing you did called "It's a Mad World, 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 World." A bit of a play on the old mad world thing with
Yeah.
Carolina Hearn and Alistair McGowan, who I imagine were pretty fledgling at the time. They
Oh yeah,
weren't.
yeah, very, very. They didn't. Yeah, this was long before they had their own series. Yeah, so yeah, that came from there was a radio program for Oxbridge lads. Did this thing called not Now in Colour or
Right.
something.
Yeah.
This is right, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And so David Tyler, who is a radio producer and who I'd worked with, I think, before that, got me in to meet the lads. And then that was right. It was Caroline, me, Alistair, um, Tim de Jong, who was one of the original writers, and another one of the writers, Will Van Dyke.
Right.
Yeah, so we did a pilot of sketches,
Yeah.
which were great fun. And what was lovely about it was that there was, it was in the old days of the BBC, so we got to go along to Acton where they had all the, I mean, we did our rehearsals there as well in the Acton rooms, but they had all the costumes and stuff there, and this very well known costume designer who'd done all the comedies and she'd done loads of
Yeah.
stuff. And I just had this great relationship with her. And so we would go around and we would pick things out for the different characters that I was going to play. And then they said, "Oh, let's make you a wig." And I came up, I said, "Well, can we make this?" So it was about earthquakes.
Right.
And so it was kind of set, it was early late nine late night 1800s or
Right.
1900s or something, so long things, and this wig, I decided I'd have these sort of horns on my head, and it's funny because I've now seen that adopted by other people in comedy, so I reckon it's because they saw me.
Yeah, definitely. The
But
trailblazer there. Yeah.
yeah, but it nearly got commissioned, but it didn't.
No.
And there's been a few of those. There's been a couple of radio pilots I've done as well that you think, will this be a goer? And
Yeah.
then I did with Punt and Dennis, of course, I did their
Yeah.
first,
Yeah. I mean,
their
I
first.
I love sketch comedy, and there's just hardly any anymore, isn't it? There was always sketch shows on telly, and there's hardly any. And I
Yes.
think, and I don't know if it's because I don't know, people are too scared. I think to get pulled up for stuff. Whether it's just political correctness and all that. And
I
I
think
I,
it's
I
partly
don't know.
because it's a very expensive thing to make. I mean, Webb and Mitchell and Webb have
Yeah.
done one, haven't they? And if you look, all the sketches, they've got all the costumes, they've got to make sets.
Yeah.
It's quite an expensive thing to do a sketch show. Um, and they only seem to trust men with them. There have been very few women. I think, apart from French and Saunders, they didn't have another woman doing a sketch show
No.
for 25 years.
Smack the
Uh,
Pony is the other one, isn't it? Smack the Pony.
Matt the
But
Pony, yeah, yes,
yeah,
that came along
but
a bit
that's probably
later.
about it. There's not
Yeah.
many. Joe Brand had one, didn't she, at one point as well? But there's not
She might, yes.
many like
And Tracy Ullman, when she
Tracy
came back from the
Ullman.
States, they
Yeah,
let her do one.
yeah.
Um,
But
but
like
yeah,
you
I
said,
think that's because it's quite expensive thing to
right.
do.
Yeah. And I wanted to talk to you about the haunting of Helen Walker.
Oh yeah.
So was that because when I looked at the cast, I thought there's some serious people in that. Was that a comedy drama or just a drama?
No, it wasn't. It was made by an American production company. It was called The Haunting of Helen Walker, but it was actually I need to look this up. It's a very famous play. It's a
Right.
kind of ghosty play. But yeah, I had Diana Rigg in it.
Yeah.
I had a little scene with Diana Rigg, Dame Diana Rigg.
Yeah.
And the woman who played Helen Walker was Van Halen's wife.
Right.
Van Halen from, rock star in
Yeah.
America.
Yeah. Wow. Brilliant. Brilliant.
So yeah, this American production company used to come over and make these dramas, and they used to adapt a lot of
Right.
stuff. I remember what the actual name of it is because it's quite a famous play anyway.
Michael Gough was in it as well, wasn't he? And Alan
He
Armstrong
was,
and
yes, yeah. I think that was one of the last things he did actually.
right. And there was something else there. Now I'd never heard of this, but when I read it and I read the synopsis on it, I thought I've got to see this. So the missing postman, right? Just
I
because,
did very little in that, but there was quite a few other people in that
but
from
I
Grange Hill.
look like it's James Bolam, Alison Steadman, Jim Carter, Larry Lamb, you
Yeah.
know, Barbara Dixon, I think turns up in there as well. But it's just
Well,
when I read it and I thought that yeah, that seems like the type of thing I need to be watching there about the postman who nicks the mail and goes and delivers it all himself all around the country. That's
they should put that back on. I don't think they've
yeah,
ever repeated it.
brilliant. And EastEnders, the well-travelled path from Grange Hill to EastEnders. You did that,
Just down
and
the lot.
yeah. Now there was another soap opera called Night and Day,
Yeah.
right? Which when I looked, I that passed me by. I don't know why that passed me. I don't know. I don't remember it being on. But when I've seen the cast list, I've thought that's incredible. How did I not know this program that had like Lizette Anthony and
I
Joe
know. I
McGann,
just don't think
Gareth
it.
Hunt, Kathy Tyson, all these people?
And I know. And in fact, when Joe McGann was in that as well,
Yeah,
and I'd worked with Joe on
the upper hand.
The Upper Hand as
Yeah,
well. So that was nice. Yeah, I played a detective inspector in that.
yeah, and a recurring character as well. It was,
Yeah.
So like I say, there'll be people listening to this that will remember Night and Day, but for me, it's one of those things that just seems to have passed me by, I don't know why.
Probably maybe it was probably the age you were at when
Yeah,
it was because
maybe.
a lot of the young people that came into that went on to Hollyoaks,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
yeah. Because what I do when I do my notes, I start writing down like names when I'm doing it. And I thought I'm going to be here all day if I write down all the names of every single person that's been in Night and Day, like Leslie Joseph, Bradley Walsh. I could have been there forever, and I still can't work it out how that's happened. And you did the bill four different characters, four different
Yeah,
episodes in the
four
bill.
different. Yeah, well, that's like most jobbing actors. We've all been in the. It was a travesty when they cancelled the bill because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I was hoping for another one. You know.
But there's something I need to talk to you about, and it's
Right.
probably the biggest thing on your CV.
Okay.
You were in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire,
Oh, right. Yeah.
right?
Where I saw
Roger Lloyd Pack.
Roger Lloyd Pack again. He's
Yeah.
a lovely man.
Now, your scene, you played a witch, a ministry witch in that.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us what scene that is you were in?
Okay. Well, I'll firstly tell you that you won't see me.
Oh, right, okay.
Uh, I'm a little outline at the back
Right.
because it's night time and it's the campsite after the Quidditch,
All right,
the
okay.
international Quidditch
Yeah.
thing. And it's when whatever they were came in and devastated the campsite,
Yeah,
and Harry is left there
the
on
Death
his own.
Eaters.
The
Death
Death
Eaters.
Eaters.
Yeah.
and we materialize
Right. Yeah.
um, and to find out what's going on, basically. So I was a
Right.
ministry, one of the ministry witches.
Right.
Yes.
Now, obviously, that scene, you said it's a campsite, it's outside. When you're filming a big film like that, which uses a huge amount of green screen, is it
Yeah.
is it difficult to get into like the mood of what it's supposed to be like if you don't know what it's going to look like?
Well, that scene wasn't green
All
screen.
right, okay.
That was real. That was
Right.
outside in a field,
All
and
right, okay.
it was November, and the ground was hard with frost,
Right.
and I had very thin kitten heel boots on, and it was flipping freezing. So they had to keep putting us in one of them little huts
Right.
to warm us up with a fire. So that was actually out in a field. The Quidditch scene when we're inside with Robert Hardy doing the
Oh,
thing.
in the
Yeah,
stadium, yeah. Yeah.
that was green
Yeah.
screen, and then you are opposite a green screen. But I think maybe because there were quite a lot of us
Yeah.
alongside each other, it didn't feel.
All right.
But often when you're filming, sometimes the person that you're talking to isn't actually
Yeah.
there, or so you do just have to use your imagination, really.
Yeah. Um, and then you were in something. Is it Arena Palm with Marianne Faithful?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, that must have been something there, like to be in that with Marianne, with her,
Kevin
like
Bishop was in that as
yeah,
well.
Kevin Bishop was in that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. We went to Luxembourg to film some
Right.
of that, and the rest of it was filmed in like North London, Hertfordshire somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, she also sadly died last year, didn't she? We became very good friends on that, even though
Brilliant.
at the beginning she was really lacking in confidence because she felt she wasn't really an actress.
Yeah.
And she was very nervous around us actors. And I don't know, but I just found a way to make her relax. And after that, she was just really good fun.
Yeah.
And it was quite a naughty film, really. And of course, Jenny Agutter was in it as
Yeah.
well, another big star.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, one of those, another shopkeeper,
Yeah.
another quirky little character. So that was a good one.
Now there's something called Giles Wembley Hogg goes off to Glastonbury with
Yeah.
Marcus Brigstock. Now the only reason I've mentioned this is because there was someone in that. The cast isn't it wasn't big, the cast list I saw. Someone in it called Suki Webster. And I was just going to ask, is Suki Webster any relation?
No, she's
Right.
not.
Okay.
She's Paul Merton's wife.
All right. Okay.
And obviously I've worked with Paul a few times,
Yeah.
and occasionally I see them, and whenever I do, it's usually Suki might say hi cousin,
Yeah.
because in case we might be related, but we're not as far as
Right.
we know, we're not.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. A thing called Made in Romania, which there
Yeah.
was quite another big cast list there. Jennifer Tilly, all these people playing themselves. Jennifer Tilly, Elizabeth Hurley, Danny
Yeah.
Houston, Jason Fleming, all playing themselves. And
Yeah.
you played a character called Erica. Now they're playing themselves. Is it because in the film they wanted to make these people were trying to make a film?
Right. The director had made a film out in Romania, and I don't remember which one it was previous to that. And I think Jennifer was in that. And apparently it was one of the first films that they'd made in Romania, and they were using
Right,
some of the crew out there. And it was a bit of a farce.
right,
So Guy Lothar, who was the director, who I think had been the first AD on the other film, had written this. It's actually an hilarious script, I
yeah,
think, and I think it was a film that missed out probably because there was not enough money to push it. But so they were playing like she was playing an actress who was going to be in a film. So when it says that they were being themselves, they weren't exactly.
like
And
yeah, parody of themselves. Like, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
they're playing an actor playing an actor.
yeah.
Gareth was great as well, and my character, she was the costume. She was the costume lady,
Right.
um, and yeah, it was all ridiculous. She kept saying, "Oh, the director wanted all the extras in ball gowns, but they were actually mill workers, things like that, and uh, But if you ever get a chance to watch it, do,
Yeah,
because it's a very funny film, and it had Martin Shaw's son, Joe Shaw, played sort of the lead in that, and he was very good.
brilliant. And I have to talk to you. We've mentioned comedy, we've mentioned sketch comedy. I need to talk to you about Giggle Biz.
Yeah.
Uh, where you played various characters, but obviously Justin Fletcher, Mr. Tumble, like
Oh, icon.
i- is he as bananas as I think he would be, or is he just completely different to that? Because I just think because you see him as Mr. Tumble, you see him as Justin, and even Justin's a character as well.
Yeah.
Is he like that in real life,
What
or
was the first word you used? Is he as what?
bananas as I imagine he would be like?
Yes,
Right, okay,
but I don't think he knows he is.
right, brilliant, but
I mean, because he's got these personas and everything, and
yeah,
he's so used to being, he's the focus of everything. Um, but he was very like, sort of, quite generous. I mean, if I came up with an idea, he'd go, yeah, let's do that. But then
yeah,
usually it would be slapped down because the time restraints and
yeah,
everything. But yeah, you accepted that he was creating these characters, and it was your job was,
yeah,
help him in a
yeah.
way
I mean,
create those
I
characters.
suppose like Paul Orchard was on a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying about when he worked with the Chuckle Brothers, and he was saying about yeah, they are bonkers completely, but they're so professional at the same time,
Exactly.
and I
Yeah.
think you don't get to have that career unless you are bonkers, but at the same time professional and know exactly what it
Yeah,
is
you've
that
got
you
to have the
want.
discipline, but
Yeah,
but I mean, as long as you've got a good director or something who's there who allows you to try things out. Like as I say, I did years of improvisation,
uh-huh.
um, and if you've got somebody who's got to let you try out some ideas, but then if you're not quite sure where you sort of should back off a bit, you need somebody there who just knows what it is.
Yeah,
But that's how you create really good
yeah,
comedy if you've got a bit of freedom.
yeah. There was something, the lost honor of Christopher Jeffries.
Yeah,
You were in 2 episodes of that. Now, the only reason I mentioned that is because Jason Watkins was obviously the main character, and I think Jason Watkins is unbelievable. Like,
he is a very, very fine actor.
he's one of them people to me though that you'll see him in the telly and go, "Oh, that's that fella,"
Yeah,
because he's in so much and he's always like he's always different in the things that he's in, and I just think
yeah.
he's so good. That's the only reason I want to mention that because I just think he's brilliant. But
Well, he was recreating a real person
yeah,
in that. And it was horrible. He was a murder suspect, and he was just the most generous actor.
yeah,
Um, Loved working with him. And when I went to see the first screening, which they actually did in Bristol, because of course it was based in Bristol, the actual what happened. And I was speaking to Jason afterwards. It was all I could do to not cry because his character, the character that he created was just so beautifully done.
yeah.
You know, he was, yeah, marvelous actor.
But and then you see him in something like Friday Night Dinner,
Yeah.
which where he plays the wrong Tony, and he's complete, and he's just so different. But he's completely different to what he would have been in that, and he's just brilliant. Everything you see him in, he's
Well, it's
brilliant.
my
I
it's
think.
my opinion, Neil, that the best dramatic actors are also good comedy
Yeah,
actors.
yeah,
Because I think you've got to be able to have that range of, and there's the whole comedy tragedy thing
yeah,
going, isn't there?
yeah,
And, I mean, at one time I was playing a lot of mothers of dead children in things like Wire in the Blood and stuff like that. And I remember sending out some cards to casting directors saying, Flip Webster can play other things other than mothers of dead children. Because I think once they realized that I could cry on screen, then I started to get more drama. And
right,
although I love doing the drama, I kind of, felt I was losing the comedy, that
yeah,
I'd been kind of known for before.
yeah.
So, But I have been very lucky in that I have been able to do both.
Yeah, but you're saying there about the comedy because it does come back around in Miracle Workers. Um, Now
Daniel
Daniel
Radcliffe.
Radcliffe and Steve Buscemi
I know.
and Peter Serafinovich. So like, and you you play a character called Mad Jane. Now, if anyone's never seen Miracle Workers, right? The only bits I've seen is on your IMDb page, your show reel on IMDb,
Oh,
right?
really?
Right. And I because I was going to say, oh my god, she mustn't have liked playing a character called Mad Jane. But when I watch it, it's perfect because obviously it's set years ago, and I'm talking like medieval
Medieval.
times. But you're there pretending you're on television at at the same time.
I know. Well, the writer is, he's got this weird
Yeah,
imagination. And yeah, I mean, he came in and was sort of thrilled I was doing it. And I was thinking, no, I'm thrilled to be here,
yeah. But
going out to Prague and filming.
again, like working with like someone like Steve Buscemi as well.
Yeah,
Now, I think he's another one that you just expect him to be a bit weird, but
he is.
I imagine he's not. I don't know.
Well, he's very serious.
Right.
Very
Yeah.
serious. His comedy is very serious. I mean, there were things that I wanted to try out on that, and I think I had a little go at one, and I thought, no, he
Yeah.
likes to be a little bit on the more subtle side. I mean,
Yeah.
she's called Mad Jane, so
Yeah.
I couldn't be that subtle.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there was a limit to how mad I could be.
Yeah. Yeah. And when someone like him turns up, do, do you notice like is it noticeable that you've got this big Hollywood actor with you?
Well, yeah, I did feel you feel a sort of atmosphere,
Yeah.
there's almost like a sort of pulse in the air,
Yeah.
because you have got this, this big actor from America there.
Yeah.
And of course he was acting in it and he was also directing some of the episodes. He
Mm.
directed that episode as well. So yeah, you are kind of aware of that. But
Right.
I mean, if you like football, I can tell you that one of the biggest person, the most well-known person that I've ever worked with is David Beckham.
Really?
I did a commercial with him.
Wow.
I say work with him. He was hardly there, his
Yeah.
stand-in was there and he was always sort of like kind of apart from us, but he did let me get a selfie with him afterwards. He
Brilliant.
had to help me do it and I thought, oh, I wonder if I could keep his thumbprint on my phone. But uh so, I am a small part actress, but I have met some pretty big people.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And you were in His Dark Materials, which was
Yes, that was
a big
yes.
thing, like to be
That
um,
is, yeah. That's
and
another one like, Grange Hill. That's another.
yeah, and speaking of Grange Hill, there you just said that. I'm only pointing this in His Dark Materials. Your character was called Ghost Hannah, which by mad coincidence got the same initials as Grange Hill. So I just
Oh yeah,
nice little link there.
glad you
Uh,
pointed that out.
and this one, the completely made up adventures of Dick Turpin, with
Noel
you
Fielding.
played Doris the Destroyer, and you were with Noel Fielding and Tamsin Greig and Mark Heap and Azam Chowdhury. And again, talked about like the corpse and stuff. That must have been incredible. That must have been so much laughing going on and stuff like that.
Well, well, yeah. I mean, it's actually quite intimidating going onto a set with people like that,
Yeah,
who have had such great careers.
yeah.
Um, but actually, Noel wasn't very well. I mean, I don't know
Right.
if you know that they were making a second series and they had to abandon it.
Right. Okay.
So, so yeah, so again, he wasn't around so much, but Paul Kay was
Yeah.
really really good fun, and well, they were all good. They were all
Yeah.
lovely. They were all lovely.
Yeah.
Very funny.
And Beyond Paradise.
Yeah,
Now you must have been gutted that you never got to be in over in because
yeah, yeah. Take me to Cornwall where I can go anytime I like.
what's it called? The original one?
Death in
Death in
Paradise.
Paradise. That's sorry, yeah. So I was just thinking because I was looking at it thinking, no, that's not. That's not in the Caribbean. That's
No.
definitely in England.
Um, what's his name? The actor who plays the lead in that? I don't.
Was it Chris Marshall in your
Chris Marshall.
yeah?
Yeah. Well, wasn't he was the one of the
You wanted the original, yeah,
first or the second?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So they obviously liked him, and so they brought him to do this.
yeah.
And
Brilliant.
um, yeah, it was a shame because she played like this sort of nosy neighbory kind of character, and um, the girl who plays Chris's psychic, who's lovely and whose name I've
Oh
just
yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, my
it's just gone out of
escaped.
my head.
Yeah,
She said to the producers, "You should get Flip in to be, the nosy neighbor." And I thought, yes,
yeah,
yes, that would be great. Nice little part there.
yeah, brilliant. And the last sort of telly thing I've got down is Ludwig, where you played Mrs. Bowen.
Yeah,
Um, but we'll talk about your theatre as well because you did a very sensible thing and wouldn't let me rely on IMDb. So you sent me your CV over because here's my catchphrase. I know IMDb is not the most reliable source of information, but you sent me your CV over, and it does match up pretty well to IMDb, I have to say.
yeah, yeah. But I think I might have used IMDb to in the past to
Yeah,
remember my CV.
but you've talked about you gave me some like the theatre work that you did as well, and you've talked about how much theatre you did, but you've written, and you mentioned earlier on that you've written some things as
Yeah.
well, like Woman of an Uncertain Age.
Oh yeah, that's a sketch show,
All
which
right,
I
okay,
do with another actress writer who's the same age as me,
right,
and that is all sketches. Some of them are quite dark, but you know, we did that because we were fed up with the stereotypical idea of the older woman.
right,
And so we did like a scratch night at a place in Exeter, and Exeter's got a lot of students, and
right,
it was at this little bike shed theatre. And we thought we'd just try these out and see how they go. And the students absolutely loved it because they said, "Oh, I'd never thought of my mother thinking like that, or my
yeah,
grandmother speaking like that, or whatever." And they actually some of them gave us a lot of encouragement and told us to go to these festivals and things like that and get in there and
yeah,
um, and so that took off, yeah. So we did a little bit of a tour with that and went up to Edinburgh. And I mean, the only reason that we're not doing anything at the moment, we're always talking about, oh, let's meet next week. We haven't done anything for a while, but yeah, that was really
yeah,
to try. I mean, we did have a meeting with the BBC producer, and we were hoping that they might go for an older woman sketch show on
yeah.
TV. They
Uh,
were more interested in part of it that
Well,
we
it's their loss, I have to say. Like, and flip sides, that's the one woman show that you did.
yeah, I
Uh,
wrote I wrote that. Yeah, it was because I can't remember, about 17 characters in that. So I play all these characters, and then I play their flip side. So it's a
yeah,
little bit like Mrs. Mason,
yeah,
I've got a character who's the mother of the groom, I think, or the mother of the bride, can't remember now. And she's very much Mrs. Mason.
right,
And then, but there's this bitchy side to her.
yeah,
Um, so that was it. I played everything from a cleaner to a dog to two men having a conversation. Um, yeah, so I actually took that to Edinburgh twice, up to the
but
Gilded.
it's that difficult though when it's a one man show and one woman show, sorry, and you're playing all them different characters. Is it like?
I couldn't have done it on my own. I had to
Right,
have my director, Jane Atkinson. She was my stage manager, and I had to have a lighting sound guy because I'm such a perfectionist and I'm so ambitious. I got a BBC puppet maker to make me life-size children so
right,
I could move around
yeah,
because I wanted to create this family as one of the things. And I needed to have somebody behind the set to help me get my clothes on and off.
right,
Um, uh,
yeah,
so yeah, I say it's a one-person show. The performer is
yeah,
one. But there's a couple of other people on the side.
yeah. And you also now I've got down here the Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Did you direct that? Am I right in thinking? Or
Oh, we did. There was a fringe version
right,
of that, and it was when Charrington, I think it was, used to do awards, Fringe Festival
yeah,
Awards, and we won the award for Best Children's Show, and it was done as part
brilliant,
of a thing called Not the Edinburgh Festival at the
right,
Gate Theatre in Notting Hill, because a lot of people don't want to go up to Edinburgh,
yeah,
but you know. there still should be stuff going on in London that they can see.
Yeah.
And the writer was Peter Weir, who sadly died a year ago. I met him doing improv
Right.
at the Donmar Warehouse with Julian Clary and Jim Sweeney, Steve Steen, who you
Yeah.
might know of. And
Yeah.
so Pete wrote it, and Lee Simpson, if you know Lee's one of the comedy store, original
Uh-huh.
comedy store players. Lee was in it. Anyway, it was beautiful writing, very
Right.
just lovely for kids. It was just done in a tiny little fringe venue, so
Yeah.
that's what that was about. And in fact, when they did the awards, this was in the days when Jack D was just starting out. He was the
All right.
warm-up guy.
Right. Brilliant.
Isn't that lovely?
Brilliant.
We went up to him afterwards and said, "You're really good. You ought to be on the telly."
Yeah. Brilliant.
And it
So,
wasn't long before he was.
but so you've done loads of telly and you've done loads of theatre. Can I ask which you prefer?
Well, there is nothing like a live audience,
Yeah.
and especially if well, I don't know if you're if you're doing if you're doing a dramatic thing, the feeling, if getting the feeling that you are touching that audience is absolutely wonderful. But it's even better if you're making them laugh and they're really laughing.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just the best thing in the world. The only thing with, touring, especially if you're touring your own show and you've got all your costumes and stuff like
Yeah.
that, is just it's lugging it about and it's
Yeah.
night times, isn't it? Whereas most of the filming that you do is generally in the day. I mean, Grange Hill was obviously all during
Yeah.
the day because of the kids. Um, and the other thing about doing a play is that you know it can get a bit boring because you're
Yeah.
doing the same thing every night. And if you've got a happy company, it's great to go, but it's not always like that, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one. Filming is a very cold kind of process in a way, and you're having to sort of manufacture stuff, and you don't get rehearsals. You don't really get rehearsals. So it's difficult. I suppose if somebody would write me comedy stuff that I could just do forever, I think I'd probably
Yeah.
say that would be the thing I'd like to
Yeah.
do.
And
You
do you prefer comedy to drama then?
know, yeah, because you get more back from it, don't you? You
Right.
you you do. You get people laughing, and the work the hardest thing is writing is so hard,
Yeah.
and it's really really difficult to find a comedy vehicle for you
Yeah.
for a theatre show.
Yeah.
But I do sometimes think, oh, I ought to just go and find something that's been done before and just do it again.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, whenever I'm putting an episode of the podcast online, Flip, I publish picture clues for people to have a go at guessing who the guest is going to be. And the first person that guesses correctly gets to ask the next guest a question. So I've got a question for you, and it's
Okay.
from a guy called Ryan Schooler. Now his question is, she says, you've played characters with lots of different voices and accents. Does it come naturally to you, or is it hard work?
Right. No, it comes naturally to me.
Right.
I think I've been blessed with what's called a good ear. They're still just about working. Um, yeah, I was a mimic as a child. I could just hear, and my mother ran a bed and breakfast, and so we would get people from Liverpool and
Yeah,
Manchester
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. And it used to drive my mum mad because, they'd go back and there'd be this, 5-year-old going, "Hey, mum, can I have an apple? I want a sandwich, a jam." And, it used to drive her mad. Will you stop talking like that? Um, and then it would just change, Scottish, Irish, whatever.
Yeah.
I've just been always be able to pick that up. And I did do a little bit of uh, trying to be an impressionist, sort
All
of
right.
just when I was working in holiday camps for a couple of years.
Uh-huh.
And I did have my own little act, and I think I went on local TV with it, and doing Pam Ayres and Marty Kane and people like that.
Brilliant.
Um, but that was something that you really needed to just concentrate on that
Yeah.
if you're going to do that, because
Y-
that's a specialism.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I wish I'd got into voice work more. I should have done that.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's hard when you're bringing up kids and you're trying to think, oh, I should do a new voice tape and
But
get more work that way. But
you
I
did
love doing it.
you did voice. You were in a video game, weren't you? Have I got
Yeah.
somewhere in my notes? Not for broadcast.
Not for
Not for broadcast.
not for broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bits of your life.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not giving up the idea of
No.
still,
But
doing some more.
you,
I'd love to do some motion capture work.
oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, your Scouse accent was quite good there. Have you ever played a
Well,
Scouser?
have I? I've played quite a lot of different Northerners,
Right.
but I don't think I have played a Scouser. Um, uh, but that old look in the book thing.
Luke, Luke in the book.
Luke, not look. Well, was I the wrong part of Liverpool there?
So no, I
The posh bit.
I switch between Luke and Luke. Sometimes I'll say Luke, sometimes I'll say Luke, sometimes I'll say
Yeah.
Book, sometimes I'll say Book. Because I think my accent is quite strong, which is
Yeah, it's
weird.
reasonably strong. Yeah.
Which is weird because my mum's isn't, and my dad's wasn't, and my sister's isn't particularly strong either. I'm the scally. I'm the common one out in the family. Like, yeah,
Got it from your contemporaries. I mean,
yeah.
I had my son in Hackney, so I've got a fairly, normal RP kind of accent. My partner comes from Lancashire, Birmingham, North London, so he ings on everything, and so we can hear the
Yeah.
Lancashire and the Birmingham sometimes. My daughter speaks like me. My son has a Cockney accent. He's Cockney, it's like that.
Brilliant.
So, people choose, don't they? What
Yeah.
they
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. It happens, doesn't it? It's just one of them. Sometimes you like I know like my cousin or my cousin's lad is the most well spoken person you'll ever meet, and he lives 5 minutes down the road from me. And
they
his mum and dad both sound like me. His brother and sister sound like me, but he doesn't. It's bizarre. Like, okay, so are you doing anything at the minute that you can tell us about?
well, on my CV I sent you, that was Ludwig, which was the David Mitchell thing,
Yeah.
which they've made a second series of.
All right.
That was a dramatic part, and but my character doesn't come back into it, so they don't.
All right.
But I did a little bit on a thing called Tommy and Tuppence, which I think is for UK drama.
All
That
right.
was the last TV thing that I did. That's based on an Agatha Christie kind of series,
Yeah.
solving murders. It's been contemporized, so it's
All
brought
right.
up to London. It's got a couple of young up and coming stars in it. Um, and then the last thing I did was the Waitrose Christmas commercial,
Oh,
in
very
which
nice.
I played Joe Wilkinson's mum.
Brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
I wanted to go and see that at the cinema actually because I've never seen myself on the big screen, but
Yeah.
I didn't have time to go to the pictures.
Oh.
But yeah, and Keira Knightley was starring
Yeah.
in that, so
Yeah.
that was quite a nice big one. Just waiting to get paid for that now.
Right. So get
Um,
you pull your finger out, Waitrose. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, there's always sort of things bubbling over in my head. I think we need
Yeah.
to get back to the writing,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
waiting for the
Definitely.
next thing to come in.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay. Well, we are coming towards the end of the interview, Flip, and I've got the same few questions I always ask everyone at the end of every episode. So, in the last couple of years, there's been talk of a Grange Hill movie in the works. Now, we haven't heard anything for ages about it. Phil Redmond's written it. Sarah Sugarman has been slated as being the director for it. But what do you think of the idea of a Grange Hill movie?
Well, I think if there's an audience for it, why not do it? I mean, what has there been anything similar, in film terms like
Mm,
that? I mean, obviously they'll bring it all up to date,
yeah,
um, and it is an opportunity for them to bring some very popular characters back in if they wanted to,
yeah,
um, which would bring in all those fans of Grange Hill over the decades.
yeah,
So, why not?
yeah.
I
And
mean,
and if you were asked, would we see a return of Mrs. Mason?
of course. Mrs. Mason needs to come in. I think she needs to have been taught a few lessons. I think maybe she should be a bit of a hippie by now.
Yeah, yeah, I can
Bring her
see
in with
that.
some joss sticks and everything's cool, man. And, maybe she's in an old people's home or something. And
Brilliant,
I don't
brilliant.
know. Yeah,
Okay.
the kids come round to do a show in the old people's home, and there's Mrs. Mason.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
maybe she's still causing trouble.
Hey, let's hope so. Let's hope she is. So you've said that you knew about Grange Hill, when you knew how big it was. But was there any other? So apart from Mrs. Mason, was there any other character that you would have liked to have played if you couldn't have played Mrs. Mason?
Oh, well, I think I could have played the headmistress as well,
Yeah,
actually. Don't you? I mean, she could have been the similar sort of character, but as the headmistress.
yeah,
Um, yeah. I
brilliant.
mean, yeah, or maybe they could have had a sort of gender change and made the caretaker
Yeah,
uh, woman. I mean, Paul Bigley. I mean, I did manage. It got to work with Paul again through a
yeah,
mutual friend afterwards. It was on a little pilot because we were hoping he was going to be a comedy star too. But
yes.
yeah, she could have been there.
And
But possibly no, the headmistress. I think yes.
yeah, and was George A. Cooper there when you were first there as well? Or
Yes, he
yeah,
was the first. He was the first one. He was a
yeah.
very well-known actor at the time
Brilliant.
as well.
Well, absolute,
Yeah.
absolute legend that man
Yeah.
is there. Um, okay. So, I mean, this is a difficult question because did you have a favorite character? I always ask everyone, like, sort of other than your own character, was there a favorite character that you had? But I don't know how easy that would be for you to answer, to be honest.
Well, I did love some of the little kids,
Yeah.
you know. So, I don't think I actually had a favorite character. Oh, well, Kelly's great though, isn't
Yeah.
he? I
Yeah.
mean, he was just when I listened to his episode of
Yeah.
this, and he said there's no talent there.
Yeah.
And frankly, he just, he delivered the lines in a meaningful, realistic way,
Yeah.
and he had a great personality.
Yeah.
So, you know, um,
Yeah, I think he did himself a massive disservice when he was saying that. To be honest, like,
yeah, I agree.
I really, really do. And the number of people that have told me, who worked with him at that time, just like how good he was, not only as an actor but as a person as well.
Yeah,
Just a great
he
one.
was
Like,
lovely, lovely,
yeah,
lovely, lovely energy to have around,
yeah,
actually.
definitely, definitely. Okay, so the final question then, Flip, is why do you think there is still such affection for Grange Hill?
Ah, well, we're very influenced, aren't we, by things that touch us when we're kids.
Yeah,
And um, you know, I think there were so many issues that were covered in that series that it appealed to, just a whole range of kids in different situations. And I think there were probably sometimes there might have been kids waiting for a storyline,
yeah,
with something that they were going
yeah,
through, either at home or at school or whatever. And and actually, I mean, when I first saw Grange Hill, I thought the kids were incredibly naughty.
yeah,
And, there's no way that my school would have put up with that kind of behavior. So, there was that, so obviously that freeing thing as
yeah,
well. Oh, I'm
definitely.
great to see this school that is actually working,
Yeah,
but the kids are, they're not all good and disciplined and doing what they're supposed to.
yeah,
And and the teachers were all relatable, I think. We could all look at them and think that they could be teachers
yeah,
uh, and everything. And it's an environment that you know about. So when you're a kid and you're watching something and you think you can put yourself in that environment, then it helps you to relate to it, I
yeah,
think.
definitely.
And because of the characters, the kids,
Yeah, definitely.
they just they're just such lovely kids, lovely characters. Not all of them all the time, of course,
Yeah,
but
obviously.
no, I mean, and you could hate some of them if you wanted. When you're a kid, you can do that, can't you? Hate
Yeah,
him, love her. Oh,
definitely.
and you get very involved with the characters and believe it all, and uh,
Yeah,
so
without
I
a doubt.
had a lot going for it.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Flip, thank you so much for coming on and giving us, your point of view on your experiences, not just on Grange Hill, but in that massive, massive career that you've had as well. Like,
Well, it's because I'm very old.
like I say, if we'd have gone through everything that you'd have been in, we I don't know when we'd be finishing this.
It's already
Honestly.
midnight, Neil.
Honestly, thank you so much. It's been absolutely wonderful talking
It's
to
been an
you.
absolute pleasure. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so wonderful to go down memory lane.
thank
And
you.
it's also a little bit good for my self-esteem and confidence that you've reminded me about all the work that I've done and the people I've worked with, and
Yeah,
that I've got every right to be here and to
definitely.
carry on doing what I'm doing.
Definitely. Honestly, it's been wonderful, wonderful talking to you. And what was it? The missing postman. That's what I'm going to go. I'm going to go and find that one. The missing postman. I'm going to
Don't
go.
blink.
I'm going to go and find out the miracle workers, and I'm going to find out the Dick Turpin one as well. I'm going to go back and make sure I watch all that. So honestly, thank you so much. It's been great. It's been brilliant talking to you. So thanks again for coming on. I really, really, really have enjoyed it. And to anyone that's listening, I'll speak to you next time. Cheers. Thanks. Bye bye.